in the lively city of Lagos, where the streets hummed with life and the skyline, there lived a young man named Ramsey. He was the embodiment of charm. His skin was smooth and dark, and his pockets deep enough to drown the worries of any woman he desired. His cars roared through the streets like lions on the prowl, and his designer clothes whispered stories of wealth. Ramsey's name was a melody sung in beauty salons, whispered in university halls, and etched into the fantasies of many. But beneath this polished exterior lay a dark secret. Ramsey harbored a destructive habit, one that thrived in the shadows. No one knew about it, but before Ramsey became a rich man, he was very poor. Due to the circumstances back then, he lost his dear mother because he did not have money to take her to hospital. This experience made him swear to do anything to get power and wealth. He lured young women into his world with promises of luxury. But when the unthinkable happened, he caused them into erasing the evidence. His wealth bought silence. His charm concealed cruelty. One Friday evening, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, Ramsey attended a high-end party in Ikoyi. There, he met Esther, a striking young woman whose beauty could silence storms. Her dark eyes reflected the strength of the ancestors, and her calm demeanor set her apart from the crowd. She was a devout Christian, raised in the traditions of her family and fortified by the teachings of her faith. Ramsey's eyes lit up with interest, but Esther's modesty and quiet grace made her a challenge unlike any he had faced. Intrigued, he showered her with gifts, gold jewelry, designer shoes, and invitations to lavish events. Esther accepted his gestures with polite smiles but never let them shake her values. One evening, Ramsey invited Esther to a weekend trip at a luxurious resort by the coast. She agreed, but on one condition: they would stay in separate rooms. Ramsey, convinced he could sway her, accepted. At the resort, Ramsey made his move. Under the moonlight, he spoke of love and whispered sweet lies, but Esther's heart remained anchored to her faith. When he tried to pull her closer, she gently pushed him away. "Ramsey," she said softly, "you cannot by love or force what should be freely given." Ramsey laughed, masking his irritation. But the days that followed left him restless. His attempts to draw Esther in had failed. Frustrated, he pressed harder, growing reckless. Esther began to notice inconsistencies in his stories. Curious, she discreetly investigated. Through mutual friends, whispers reached her ears. Stories of girls who had vanished from social circles, their once radiant smiles dulled by secrets too heavy to bear. One evening, Esther attended a Bible study and confided in an elder named Mama Nkechi. The wise old woman, her face lined with the knowledge of years, clasped Esther's hands. "My daughter, darkness often wears the mask of light. Pray and the truth will reveal itself." The next week, Esther invited Ramsey to her church's youth fellowship. Ramsey hesitated but agreed, unwilling to appear weak. As the service progressed, Esther watched him closely. The pastor preached about hidden sins, and Ramsey shifted uncomfortably. It was as if the pastor's words peeled away the layers Ramsey had so carefully crafted. After the service, a young woman approached Esther. Her name was Joy, her eyes shadowed by pain. "Be careful with Ramsey," she warned. "He isn't who he claims to be." Esther pressed for details, and Joy's voice trembled as she recounted her ordeal, one that mirrored the whispers Esther had heard. "How do you know Ramsey?" Esther asked Joy. "Well, we met at a party that I was invited by my friends from campus. He approached me and asked me for a dance. We danced and later he drove me at home. From that night he started coming at our place and brought me some gifts, and sometimes he even brought some gifts and some cash for my mother. You can only imagine how my mother was happy that after taking care of me alone after my father's death that I had met a good and rich man. I completely fell in love with Ramsey, until I found out I was pregnant. When I told him, he said that I cannot keep the pregnancy because he belonged to a brotherhood cult and he sacrificed his entire offspring in exchange of wealth and power. If I agreed to the terms, he would give me 10 million naira, a mansion and a luxury car of my choice. He told me not to fear because most of the young ladies who had agreed to his deal were now having good lives and they were free to get married and have children with other men later in their lives. The only thing is he cannot have a child, he must sacrifice his children. On hearing this, Esther was shocked and she decided to talk to Ramsey. Armed with the truth, Esther confronted Ramsey. He denied everything, but the cracks in his composure deepened. Finally, cornered by evidence, Ramsey lashed out. "You think you're better than the others?" He spat, his mask shattering. "I can ruin you." But Esther stood firm. "I walk with God, Ramsey. Your threats are like smoke against the wind." Words spread like wildfire. Ramsey's charm lost its sheen. Women once enchanted by his riches now saw the shadows lurking behind his smile. One by one, they came forward, unburdening their secrets. Ramsey fled Lagos, his empire crumbling behind him. Esther, strengthened by the ordeal, continued to advocate for young women, teaching them the value of self-worth and the importance of discernment. Her story became a beacon, illuminating paths darkened by deceit. In the end, the secret of Ramsey served as a reminder: not all that glitters is gold, and sometimes, the brightest light comes from within.